All right, I'm gonna go ahead and skip to 5.2. We're gonna talk about sine and cosine, and then I will send this so y'all can look at it tonight or tomorrow. Let's just look at one quadrant. And the way we look at this, if this is 0, this being 1. We agree this is 1/2. We'll agree this is square root 3. Excuse me. Square root 2 over 2. Square root 3 over 2. Oh, excuse me. Same thing up here. My line is not standard. So 1/2 square root 2 over 3. And then, of course, try to make it best I could. But we're going to look at just how to find some of these sine and cosine values. And we say square root 3 over 2. Well, we know, the way I remember this, sine, and I guess they're using theta. Well, let's go with sine theta. Let's find out sine theta and cosine theta. Well, easiest way to remember, put these two letters in alphabetical order. Cosine comes before sine, so that will be your y value, and that will be your x value. So if I said, what's my sine? I'm looking at my x values. If I said, what's my cosine? I'm looking at my y values. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and try to see how this is going to relate to what we want to do. And let's say this is my circle, or semicircle. And I want to find certain measurements. I can either find them in radians or degrees. And if this comes right, I'm going to try to make it where it's not right. So let's make it fit what we want it to fit. It doesn't quite work right because I didn't have my spaces out enough. But let's bend it. Let's put these points on the graph. We know this one is 30 degrees because this is my reference angle, my terminal angle. This is 30 degrees, which we already configured as pi over 6. This is 45 degrees, which we said pi over 4. This is 60 degrees, which we said was pi over 3. How do we know? Because we've talked about converting angles to radians. Now, if I ask you what is sine, I can ask you two ways. I can say, what is sine of 30 degrees? Which is the same thing as sine pi over 6. Well, sine, excuse me, we know corresponds with the y values. So sine of 30 degrees, my y value is 1/2. So if I say, what's sine of 30 or sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. What do you think cosine of 30? And I forgot my degree symbol. That's same thing as cosine pi over 6. We know that is cosine is my x value. Well, 30 degrees, my x value is square root 3 over 2. And that's how we'll go around the circle, but we're just going to look at the first quadrant right now because everything is going to mirror each other. It just flops over into the quadrants, but these will be the basic angles, and you'll see it in the chart. So again, what is cosine? Because now I'm switching up. What is cosine 45 degrees? Well, you know cosine 45 degrees is the same thing as cosine pi over 4. Now, cosine degree That should be 2. Cosine 45 degrees. Notice your sine and your cosine are equal. So that's square root 2 over 2. And then same thing if it was sine of 45 or power 4. And then, of course, if you want to do sine and cosine of 60. But that's what that talks about. Let's look through some of the exercises because we'll go into more detail. See, again, they converted from, they use the calculators to show you how to find it. And now what you can understand, you must understand this here. These two pictures. I apologize. Boy, it's getting me. So, this is going to be the last one because, excuse me. Excuse me. So if I ask what was cosine of power 6, that's the same thing as cosine 11 power 6. Why? Because we come around here 330 degrees, we're back here. Cosine is your x value. So in your first and fourth quadrant, your x value will be the same value. It'll be positive here, also be positive here. Excuse me. Only difference, your sine value would be positive up here, your sine value will be negative down here. But why is that important? Because someone can also say that's the same thing as cosine negative pi over 6. I can either go up pi over 6 units or I can come down pi over 6. I'm still in the same quadrant. I'll still have the same value. So instead of going all the way around the circle, you can just start from here and drop down pi over 6. Same thing if you did 60 degrees, or which is pi over 3, or you drop down, it'll be negative pi over 3. So I will put this out there tonight. Y'all have some questions, please send me an email, and I will talk to y'all later. Thank y'all for your time.